today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 41 of Shop Talk. It's Jennifer.
And Carrie.
And we're back with a new episode to recap of 415 titled Hit List. So it was an intense episode. Like we were only 20 minutes in and so much had happened. So it was crazy. But everyone was involved, even Bailey and Smitty, which was awesome to see. Everyone was tied in. So, I mean, like even Wesley like had a few little moments and it was just like, oh, I miss him. I love him.
Yep.
But yeah, so we don't have much news, so we'll get right into that and then tackle the episode because it was a big one. Do you want to start off with the piece about Niecy Nash?
Yeah, so Niecy Nash has been posting Instagram stories over like the past 2 days of like her and Nathan filming for the Rookie. It seems like they're filming her introduction episodes, which would like serve as the backdoor pilot for the potential FBI series spinoff with her character Simone Clark. So that's exciting.
It's crazy that they're already filming that because it's supposed to be like what 20 and 21 or something of the show.
I don't know. I don't know like what order they're going in, or I mean
maybe
based on
it's
if they're
just
filming it
scheduling.
now. What is this, March? So I'm assuming mid-April maybe. So I guess relatively close, towards the end.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like they're already coming up on the end of the season. But I mean, like the one Chicago shows are filming episode 16, and they've got 22 episodes. So it's just crazy to think that like filming is almost done for the shows, which means like the season finales are almost here and then renewals and hiatus. Like it's crazy to think that we're almost done with another season of TV. Yeah. So we also got the promo for next week. And it looks like it's gonna be like true crime documentary 2.0, but revolving like around Aaron this time, maybe instead of having like the 3 different storylines. So it looks good. It looks like they're gonna like interview his coworkers. I'm curious to see if it's like his plainclothes day take 2. Because Nyla had said in this episode that like he's got to redo it next week. So I'm wondering like if it's just gonna be like, okay, let's take 2 for plainclothes day. And then they're also interviewing, all of his coworkers too. So I don't know. Guess we'll see.
Yep. And last but not least, Eric and Rosalind obviously have their podcast episodes coming out regularly, so be sure to check those out.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of go right into the episode. Like I said, there was a lot to cover. So I'll kind of start off with Nyla and Aaron first because they had their own storyline and it was a big storyline, but it was kind of the side storyline to the whole like hit list thing. So it's Aaron's plainclothes day and he's walking into the briefing room and questions why Nyla is not in uniform. So Gray's like, Nyla is in her comfiest maternity clothes because it's Thorson's plainclothes day. And Aaron's just like, what is that? Tim steps in, tells him, and I don't know, I just loved how everyone like had a hand in sharing this information with him. Like Lucy and John, were the ones that were like, oh, it's plainclothes day. That's why she's in her, street clothes or whatever. And Tim, tells him about it. And then, Gray also points it out. Like it was just so good. I loved that team aspect of it. And then even Nyla's like psyching him out. And, it's just like, don't let this worry you that, this is the day where most rookies drop out. And he was like, I'm actually kind of excited about it. And Nyla's like, just enjoy it. Like, don't let the fact that this day is when the highest percentage of rookies drop out. The only thing that we missed in this scene was Angela also being in the briefing room. But I think she doesn't interact with Thorson as much. So, which I would like for that to change. But I mean, like, if we could just make True like a regular, you know,
That would be nice.
yeah, that would be sweet. Yeah, so then Nyla and Aaron are out driving, and Aaron's just like going on and on about how he has mad respect for Nyla and the amount of makeup that like he has to wear for his reality show is messing with his skin. And when Nyla doesn't answer, he looks over at her and just without any words, she reminds him that like he's not there or she's not there. So I don't know. It reminded me of when John had his plainclothes day and he did that with Talia. And she
Yep.
just kind of looks over at him and it's just like, why? Like, um, so then yeah, so Aaron gets like cocky. Cocky is the best way that I can describe it. And he's like, cool, this is my shop today. I get to choose, you know, what to eat for lunch, and what to play on the radio. And so then like he turns on bluegrass and Nyla's just like, then it'll be your last day here. Her face there is gold. Um, but also they can't have the radio playing though, like at least very loudly, right? Because then they'd miss all the calls.
Yeah, that I don't know because I mean it was shut off like really, really quick. So
Unless like it's kind of like Bluetooth when you know you have your phone hooked up playing music and someone like calls you through the car.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
So then Aaron sees a license plate with an expired tag in front of them and he runs the plate uh and you know pulls over the driver. So Nyla's watching from, you know, kind of the back of the vehicle and you know, Aaron's just like, I want, you know, I need the driver to step out of the car because, you know, I need to run tags and he's running solo today. So it's kind of safer for him and the driver. But they're also on a busy street and I was like, is it safe for the driver? But I guess I don't know. I was just like, that doesn't really make any sense, but okay. So
Yeah.
then you know, as he's like running her tags and stuff, he or Nyla notices that there's a car just up in front of them with a guy in the passenger seat, like door is open and he's pointing a camera at them. So she takes a picture of, I thought it was just of them, but then it was also of the license plate. And
Yeah, I could
after,
really see like with the phone, like the camera like focused in on the phone, but then it was like just the shadow was like
yeah.
in front of it. So it's kind of hard to see, but yeah.
So then, you know, we see her kind of running the license plate of the SUV for the guy who had the camera. And the car is registered to a business called Mad Profits. And Aaron's playing devil's advocate. And he's like, are you sure that they were filming us? Like, it is LA. Maybe Doja Cat was getting some boba tea. So then Nyla's like, oh, I know for a fact that he was there for us because he's tailing us now. And Aaron's like, well, I'll turn around and pull them over, like, no problem. And Nyla's just like, no, make a right. And you know, they'll follow us. So then the SUV comes up and the passenger gets out and it's the camera crew for Aaron's show. And Aaron runs up and confronts them because Nyla's like, what are you guys doing here? And we find out that Aaron knows nothing about this. He apparently didn't give them access to the station. And his mom said that, you know, they needed some B-roll. So they just told him to get it done. And I was like, nope, this is done. Uh, and Morris is the basically the producer. Or you know, so the guy who's calling the shots at this point. And you know, he's like, well, what we're doing is perfectly legal and you know that too. um and so Nyla's just kind of tongue tied there because she's like, yeah, okay. um and you know, he's like, he tells Aaron that, you know, he should appreciate the production value that it gives them for the show is to like get actual footage of him like on the job. So Morris is like, let's reshoot the whole like car chase thing and get some more angles. And Nyla's like, nope, we're out of here. So then before Aaron leaves, he's like, you know, you might be filming my last day on the job. So thanks for that. Um and you know, like we later on in the episode, we see Nyla and Aaron are still patrolling. We get an update on Gray, and Aaron's like, you know, this seems silly to ask, but I'm not passing plainclothes day, am I? Like, it's not looking good for me. And I was like, well, it hasn't been good so far, but you could still finish strong and, just focus on getting to the end of the shift with no more drama. Yeah, that's jinx right there because like the next thing that they do, they are following a car that rolls through a stop sign. So, that's cause for a ticket. So he pulls them over. And, who's also like right behind them is Aaron's camera crew. So Aaron gets out, goes up to the driver's window, and it's Patrick's dad. He gets out of the car, confronts Aaron. The dad's like, I think about you every day, like thinking what I would say to you and what I would do to you. And Nyla's like, I caught this on my second rewatch, and Nyla's face in the background, she's like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is all of this? So then, Mr. Hayes gets closer and Aaron stops him. And the camera crew is like, let's go, let's get closer. Nyla's like, trying to kind of do crowd control in a way with the camera crew and holds them back. And Aaron just tells Mr. Hayes, that Patrick was his best friend. He never hurt him, all of that. And then it gets worse because Mr. Hayes sees the camera crew, obviously, because they're right there, thanks to their TMZ, and that, they just want to profit off of him. And so, Aaron, like, when Aaron calls Morris by name, Mr. Hayes accuses him of setting this up. And after a confrontation and yelling, Mr. Hayes then goes to like punch Aaron. But instead, he stops it and handcuffs him, ultimately arresting him. And Aaron's, like, we kind of like cut to like a later part in the episode, and Aaron's just like filling out paperwork, feeling guilty about the whole situation. And, he's like, I know that if it was any other cop, he wouldn't have thrown a punch. So Nyla's like, well, ultimately it's your decision if you want to let this go. So he doesn't even really think about it for that long. And he's like, let's get Mr. Hayes' belongings and let him go. So Nyla's like, I'll handle it because, it's not going to do anyone any good for you to go in there and talk to him. So then Aaron's like, you're not supposed to help me, but okay. And, so she tells him to go do his paperwork somewhere else and she'll find him after. Patrick's dad is like watching him like a hawk through like the plexiglass window. And, he comes out and he's like, well, what's going on? Nyla just says Aaron wanted to release you and not charge you. So, as this dad is making the case for why Aaron shouldn't be there, Nyla's just listening. Her face is kind of like perplexed in a way. And she's like, I can't really offer you much besides my condolences because like anything that she says about Aaron won't change his mind. So, that's kind of it on the whole like Mr. Hayes situation. But then, Nyla and Aaron are walking out of the district that night, and Nyla's like, your plainclothes day story is not the worst one that I've heard. It is the most unique though. And she says, but because I pulled to the plug on it, you're gonna have to do it all over again next week. And Aaron's like, maybe it'll be better. Like, I won't try and screw up as much. And then Morris meets up with them, and Nyla's like, nope, point another camera on my face and I will arrest you for invasion of privacy. That was like hands down one of my favorite sassy Nyla lines, like probably one of the best ones too. But then, Morris is like, there to say bravo for the day. And, the footage that they got was great. So then he also says the camera loves Nyla. And, how would she feel about having her own makeup team? Her face there was just like gold. It was, the best. It was just like the best micro expression. So then
I catch that he said makeup team. I don't know what I thought he said, but that wasn't it. So I was like, I didn't really know why now I was looking at him like that, but
yeah. And you got like a full like shot of her too. It was perfect. I loved it. So then, Aaron's like, well, I want to talk to Morris. So Nyla's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And then she turns to Morris and she's like, and I better not see you. Her face, her voice, and that line, like another good sassy moment from her. We had a lot of good like Nyla sass
Yeah.
tonight in
That
this
was my
episode.
favorite though, because she was like, and I better not see like just the emphasis on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's great.
So then Morris, goes to praise Aaron, and Aaron's like, no, you're gonna listen to me now. So the footage that he shot of Aaron and Mr. Hayes will never see the light of day because, neither Mr. Hayes's or Aaron's pain is a commodity. And Morris is like, well, then why did you decide to do the show? And Aaron's just, he just says it's because he needed to get his life back, but the footage won't help that. So Morris has to destroy it. And if he doesn't delete the footage, then he'll be fired because that footage belongs to Thorson Media, and Morris is, he doesn't have the last name Thorson. So yeah, that's it for Nyla and Aaron though.
Yeah. So as far as at least like what I'll be talking about, we kind of included the like, well, Chris Chen is what like most people are calling them on Twitter. I don't know if they have a different ship name. If they do, let us know. But that's for the sake of this, that's what I'll be referring to them as a couple times anyway. We included them in the hit list section just because like towards the end it kind of all like overlapped. So to start with them, Chris and Lucy are walking in the station, and she asks if he like read the emails that she sent over. He'll get to it soon. And he like, I like how he casually just kind of mentions the G word of I've never had a girlfriend give me homework before. And Lucy's of course momentarily surprised by this like mention because they've only been on 4 dates. And Lucy is helping to educate Chris so he can like continue to help people in the best ways. Chris tells her that she can be a part of the solution if she went to like law school. Lucy's parents wanted her to, which is exactly why she did not. And Chris later asks her if like he really freaked her out by mentioning the girlfriend thing. See, she said that she's fine with it as long as he's fine with her defining him as her work in progress. He never quite knows if she's joking, and she's like, good, it'll keep you on your toes. And that's kind of the end of their first little conversation, which I thought was cute. I know I was one to be like not on team Chris in the beginning, but I like their interactions as a for now like ship.
Yeah, it was cute. It was like flirty, it didn't seem like overly like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend or whatever. It was just like flirty. So
yeah, wasn't like overtly like sappy or like it was still like casual enough to like, because it's still new. I mean, because like I was kind of with Lucy, I was like, dude, you've known each other for like 4 episodes or whatever. Like what, like where did this come from? But anyway, so that was the first moment for them. As far as the first person on this hit list, it was the poisoning in the lobby that happened when Smitty and Nolan were manning the front desk. John had met the man who was like really like insistent that he be helped like right away, even though he like cut in front of the line, and that's why Nolan had him go sit back down and like he'll wait until he could be helped. But then by the time it like is his turn, John goes up to him and he's not conscious, not breathing, like he's dead. And I thought it was like a good, I don't know, I mean like delivery by Nathan, but like just writing, directing, I don't know, like whatever, like team effort. And like I repeat, we have a DB in the main lobby. Like he just like he was hesitant about it and like just kind of in disbelief. Like I don't know, I just thought it was
I was almost waiting for like the dun because I was just like, I don't know, the way that it was set up, it was like perfect for that moment.
Yeah, or like you know how sometimes they don't always have like the music like intro. like that could, like had the, title card appear across the screen there or something. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that would have been like way too late into the
The
thing.
title card in like black and white or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, I don't know, but yeah, it was definitely a like like a silent afterward kind of moment.
Yeah.
And so Nolan, it cuts over later. Nolan is reviewing the security cam footage with Gray, and it shows another man in a hoodie sitting down next to their victim. That man like injects the guy with something and then walks away. It has to be a poison of some kind. They're like rushing the toxicology reports. They don't like know exactly what it is yet, but they'll know soon. We got to see Tim drop by. They were getting a a different case squared away. But like the unit had to be like diverted back to the station because of this poison victim. And so Gray's kind of like, sorry, you're like doing, being watch commander under all these like circumstances, but Tim's fine with it. He's going to watch things until Gray gets back from court. And it was their first victim was scheduled to testify in front of a grand jury, and he was paranoid that someone was following him because of that. And so that's like their first person has kind of been like established. The second person was the drive-by shooting that led Nyla and Aaron on the like mini car chase, kind of. And that was the case that like TID had to be diverted from, like, to go back to the station first.
That mini car chase was just scary. I was like, God, please just protect them all. Especially Nyla, because her facial expressions, I was like, oh my God, that has to be so stressful.
Gripping the like door, not door handle, but the thing you hold on to, like when people are going fast. Yeah.
It's like, and she's pregnant.
Yeah. So there were a couple cars on the road, and Tim and Lucy are just driving along, right? Like normal, everything seems to be okay. But then the one car is shooting, like there's this silver gray car, and it's shooting at another car that's like they pulled up right alongside it, started shooting. Lucy calls it in. The shooter's car obviously is driving away. The car that got shot at ends up crashing into a pole. And so Tim and Lucy go to help the like shooting victim. Nyla and Aaron are the ones that are pursuing the suspect. Aaron even, attempts to drive on the sidewalk to get to them. But he has to kind of like swerve by a truck and like try, and he kind of gets like blocked in. Like, I don't know, like the camera cut like from like a more like internal shot like of the shop, and then like an external like outside of it like rather quickly. So I didn't quite understand, but just somehow they couldn't really maneuver around. So he lost sight of the suspect, and the helicopter doesn't have them like in their sights either. So that kind of like it, like Nyla was kind of frustrated a little bit, and then Aaron was obviously frustrated that they weren't able to like get to their shooter, and which is why later Nyla reminds him that like as a cop they do things like drive onto sidewalks to catch killers, and Aaron knows better now to like not hesitate. And so they meet up with Tim and Lucy, and Tim asks if they got anything from the plates, and they're just like, it was stolen. Angela pulls up next and again kind of asks where they're at. Lucy says it was a drive-by. They don't really have much else to go on, so like their next order of business is to start with their victim and see where that leads. Later in the episode, Angela comes back, they're back at the station, and tells Lucy that their second victim was scheduled to testify at Mateo Rubio's grand jury for a RICO case. And so that is the connection, because like their first victim was also on that case as a witness to testify. And the third person that, well, as Gray is going into court, they all like run to Tim and is like, Gray is also supposed to testify. Like he's the third person on this list. And so like after Gray, they're really working to track down who ordered the hits. Angela ends up interrogating a paralegal who had access to the witness list. Of course, he claims he's like, I had no idea what they were going to do with it. Like he just thought it was going to be used to scare people. And Angela's like, listen to me, like this is important. You have done this like horrible, terrible thing. Like there are like, two people that are dead, like another one is injured. Like this is not okay. And so the guy finally, like, he doesn't really, like, I don't know, I thought this was interesting. Like he didn't really directly answer her question, because she was like who are they, like where did they go, like what, like what's the next move that they're going to make. And he's like, okay, well here's the next person on this list, because they wanted the witnesses and the prosecutor. And so the prosecutor is Sean Del Monte. So we get to see Michael Trucco come back in this episode, which was kind of fun. Angela and Lucy had actually met up with him and Chris earlier to try to get them to cooperate and like hand over the full list for the grand jury, but Sean's like, no. And that was when Chris like attempted to help Lucy by to help them by pulling Lucy aside and giving her the list, but she's like, no, you can't, we'll find another way, because they can't catch criminals by becoming criminals, which I thought was a like very Lucy line to say.
For sure.
So so now that they know that the prosecutor is next, like they're kind of the last like person for the sake of this episode anyway, because the rest of the witnesses have been like in protective custody now. And Del Monte like was like not cooperating, because like he was essentially like, they've got it handled, even though Angel's like, yeah, you're doing a bang up job so far. Like, no, like they don't actually have it handled.
A lot of the lines in this episode were just like sassy. Like they came from Angela, even Nolan. I was like, okay, this is like great writing here. Like whoever came up with these one-liners, just chef's kiss.
Great. Yeah. And so towards the end of the episode anyway, they're like running out. They know that the prosecutor is the last on the list. They're gonna try to go over to the DA's office and get there before the shooter does. Tim told Lucy that they couldn't get through to the DA's office though, so Lucy decides to call Chris. He doesn't answer. It was like, what, like 2 or 3 times she's calling? And I'm just sitting there. I could not tear my eyes away from the screen last night while I was live tweeting.
It was like, Chris, just answer your phone.
Yeah.
Like we know when you don't answer your phone that bad stuff happens. And coincidentally, this is when my phone died for live tweeting. I was like,
no.
oh no. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh my god.
Or no, it wasn't like right then, but it was during like this whole
like
sequence.
During that scene. Yeah. I could not tear my eyes off the screen. So there was like a solid, I don't know, I think it lasted like 2 or 3 minutes or something where I just like wasn't tweeting, because I was just, my eyes were glued to the screen. Same with Gray's scenes that you'll get into too. I couldn't tweet anything until after, because I was like, I was in like shock.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Lucy finally does get a hold of Chris. I enjoyed his little smile though, as soon as he realized that, like, oh, Lucy's calling, like,
oh yeah,
hi. And then she's like, where are you? And he's like, in my office. Why? And he still has kind of a slight smile, like, so he still isn't really. And I'm like, dude, don't you like notice the urgency in her voice? But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he's just not used to it. Like, I don't know. And so kind of as like they're still on the phone, the shooter has come in because the lights have been cut. And Lucy's like, Chris, you have to hide. And he's like, yeah, okay, but I gotta warn Del Monte. And so he kind of, I guess, hangs up, and like she's like, Chris, no, like hold on a second. That's where it cuts off for commercial, of course. And but when it comes back, the shooting has started. Chris warns Sean and like yells for him to get down, and they kind of run across the way to safety. They do end up hiding in one of the offices for a brief moment in time. I'm assuming it was just because they didn't barricade the first door that they had to move
Yeah.
around.
Or
Like,
it's because it was glass. I don't
oh,
know.
maybe. See, I couldn't know because it was so dark because they cut the lights.
Yeah.
That like I didn't know what was like.
Because
Like
then they
where
went
they
and hid like
were.
in the copy room or whatever. And I was like, well,
Yeah,
there's no windows there. Like it is, you
it's
know,
true.
4 solid walls. So
Mhm. Yeah. So they're moving around the offices. They eventually do, like Jennifer said, they end up in the copy room, barricade the door, I think, with a copier, and the LAPD is kind of like moving in. It's kind of like, I don't know, like one of those like old style video games, where like the thing is trying to like eat the other thing as they're like moving away. So it's like
oh
people are
yeah.
moving closer. I
Like
don't know what game
Pac-Man.
yeah, that's it. I was like, what is it? Yeah, it's like Pac-Man. Kind of. I don't know. It's just what it reminded me of. Because like as like Tim and Lucy and like the rest of their crew are like
Yeah.
moving in, and then it's like you got the shooter, and then you have Chris and Sean like moving about. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of funny like that.
Also, like I loved how Lucy was like right behind Tim. And that, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sure it was just because they were partners, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just loved it. And it was to me, I was like, well, why is that Angela there? But then I thought she's still at the district. So
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, so obviously I think I think it was Lucy that yelled for the shooter to drop their weapon. I
Yeah, I
don't know
think
if I've
so.
ever heard like Melissa's voice sound like so
It
like
might have
demanding
been
and
another
strong.
cop,
I don't know. It like
but I
didn't
don't know
quite seem
why.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure because again, it was so freaking dark. I could barely see anyone's
Yeah.
faces. I mean, there were some points where there was like, light that hit, thankfully, but I mean, I appreciate it for the sake of the scene. I get it, cinematic, effect and whatnot, but it was so dark I could not tell who was speaking for a little bit at sometimes. But anyway, once the shooter is in custody, Tim's kind of taking care of that. Lucy and Chris do share a look, because she was so concerned about him, and like they're okay. Um, Sean's badly timed like humor of like, no, I'm not okay. I need a drink. I'm like, thank you, because I seriously thought he was like gonna be like injured or something when he was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm
No,
not. And
I
I'm like,
legit thought that too. I was like, oh my God, was he hit? And we just
yeah,
didn't see it.
mhm, yeah, but yeah, so both of them are okay. A little shaken up possibly, but um Chris Chen had a nice moment towards the end as well. Lucy, I guess so like is she assumed to like just have stayed there the whole time then, and like Tim took the shooter back like into police custody or something? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe. But then we also saw, I don't know, because like Tim was then out of his like uniform at the hospital with Gray, which looked to be like that night.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know because I thought like Chris's scene in his office, it was like morning or something, but then like he was drinking. So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
But anyway, so yeah, so Lucy's there with Chris. She's kind of checking him over, like taking his pulse, which is good and steady, like he is. He like is trying to joke with her about it. His heartbeat's a little fast, and they're like smiling at each other. Lucy also asked like why he wanted to help her earlier with the list. Like, was it to impress her, or was it because It was the right thing to do. He pleads the fifth on that, and then they're still all like goofily smiling at each other and being cute. Um, I seriously, I mean, I tweeted about it yesterday, but I totally thought they were gonna kiss there,
Same.
or like have that moment. I mean, who knows? Maybe they did, and it just like was cut, or
Yeah.
but I don't know because it there was no like lean in or like movement on
Mhm.
either side, um, which then made me wonder like we haven't seen Lucy and Chris kiss. Have we seen Tim and Ashley kiss and I'm just blocking it out of my brain or
I
no?
don't think so because we didn't with the whole like Kojo thing.
Yeah.
Like when Kojo first didn't like her, and then even with
Yeah.
the whole like breakfast thing, he like pushed her out of the way basically.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
Kojo technically kissed Ashley, but
yeah.
Tim didn't.
So now that begs the question, did we ever see Tim and Rachel kiss?
Yeah, they they
Okay.
they had a couple like bordering on like makeouts at the station. Kind
Okay.
of.
Did we ever see Lucy and Emmett kiss? I mean, they weren't really a thing for that
Yeah,
long.
wait. No.
Because I'm like, okay, are they
We had the
not showing us
morning.
Chenford kissing other people? Because I'm like, well,
That's a sign.
we've gotten Nolan kissing everyone, like that he's dated. Um, and I mean, we've had Wopez kiss,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, are they just not showing us Chenford kissing other people? Like, I don't know why they wouldn't, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's a good sign.
But I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, if we've had like a Tim and Rachel kiss
Yeah.
and like Emmett
Um,
and Lucy, I don't
I
know,
don't know.
but
I know they like because they had that like morning scene or whatever, like back in season 2,
yeah.
and they like, got all like cuddled up and like close to each other. I can't remember if they kissed though. They might have. I don't
Yeah.
know though. Don't quote me on that, but I don't know. I'm just curious now because yeah, I don't think we've seen Chenford kiss other people. So I'm taking it as a good sign now that I think about it, like in context.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know. But like after, and we'll get to it later too, because like our listener thoughts, I was like, okay, okay, I can see where people are coming from with not liking Christian, and I can
yeah.
see where people are coming from with liking them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we'll get to that
There's a
later.
lot. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so next we have Gray. Like, okay, this promo psyched us out a little bit because it was like, when they were rushing to the DA's office and they were
Mhm.
like, he's not picking up. That was actually about Chris.
Mhm.
But like the way that the promo was showing it, it was about Gray.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The promo was
But
like
they
psyching us out
actually
a little
like
bit, but
followed through though on like Gray,
yeah,
which I was not expecting. So I was
yeah.
sitting there like jaw dropped, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that.
I thought that they would do a little bit more follow up with him, but then I was also like, well, they do have this big case. So,
Yeah.
um,
I just wasn't expecting it so soon.
yeah, yeah,
Like, because it was like, I think it was before the half an hour mark.
yeah.
So,
And like they cut to commercial and like they came back and he was like getting care. So
yeah.
it
Anyway,
definitely wasn't like put off.
yeah.
Yeah. So Grace in the parking garage start like walking to exit, to go into court. We see this like woman watching him and he like looks over feeling suspicious and then like he acts like he forgot something in his car. And he's a smart guy.
Oh, I thought
He
he literally did. Oh, okay. He's just acting. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense. I was like, okay.
um yeah, so then like he goes to like grab her weapon because he's like, you're carrying a concealed weapon in the court. You can't do that. And she was like, yeah, I was, but now I don't have to because you're right here. She pulls out a knife and slashes like, well, slashes is not the right word. She like cuts his face with it. He runs, she shoots at him, a whole thing happens. And then she's like, she hits the back of the windshield of the car. At first, on my first watch, I was like, oh my God, did I just see blood splatter? And then I was like, that's glass. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine now. So then, as he's like going to run to like hide behind another car, she shoots him like right in the shoulder. And I was just like, well, you know, this is taking the turn. So then, like, he's on the ground, he's like able to pull out his gun. And by the time she finds him and is ready to shoot again, he like beats her to it. So he fires one shot and she's down. He then like handcuffs her because he's over there now taking care of her, like tends to her wounds. He handcuffs her. It's all like blurry and dizzy, like from his point of view. And I geek out at special effects, but I love when shows do this. Like they show the character's point of view, like if they're injured or, just like, in in peril, they show their point of view with it being like blurry or shaky or whatever. And another show of ours did that with a character who's like hanging by a thread. I mean, he was on the ground, like bleeding out. And, it was just cool, like seeing what he would have saw. And then it cuts to commercial. And I think that was the first commercial break of the episode, right? Or
I
did we
think
have
so.
one
Well, they had
after?
one when Nyla and Aaron were chasing the
That's right.
drive-by.
That's right. There was so
But
much
it
that
was
was
so
happening.
fast, though.
There was so much that was happening. I was like, okay, where are we at now? Like,
Yeah.
Even like trying to plan the outline for this episode, it was like, wait, there's a lot going on here. So
Mhm.
then, like we come back from commercial and Gray's in the hospital and he's still kind of like, he's conscious, but the way that the camera is working, like along with the background, it's almost like we're in Gray's head right now. Like he's watching things, but it's just like his head is spinning and everything
Mhm.
around him is like spinning. Like he's trying to like, his mind is being pulled in several different directions. So, and he's just trying to process it all, even like going through flashbacks of what happened.
Mhm.
And he also sees that they're trying to revive the woman that he shot, but nothing happens and she's gone.
Mhm.
We hear the doctor say, like, I'm calling it, the time, all of that. So the nurse treating Gray wants his attention, asking him questions, just, doing her job. And he's just shaken up, but he's got to go into surgery because just to make sure that there's no internal damage from the gunshot, but it was a through and through, and he'll just need stitches on his face for the knife wound. Um, so then, like Tim comes around the corner and he asks the doctor, how Gray's doing, and the doctor just says like he's lucky. So I loved this part. Tim just like went over to Gray, like pats him on the leg, and it's just like the supportive BFF that everyone needs. And Gray's just reminding Tim that, he'll need to alert the captain, to which Tim already did. Like, Tim is on top of this. And, Tim's just like, all you need to worry about is focus on getting better. And as they wheel Gray off for surgery, they pan over to the girl who's like lying on the bed with blood on her shirt, with blood on her shirt ripped open, all of that. And at this point, I'm like, can someone cover her up? Like the man that shot her and was also like, is going through his own like processing of it all and like trauma. It has to see that like as he's going off into surgery. No, like cover her up, put a blanket on her or something.
Mhm.
And so then like Tim goes back to the lobby. He sees Lucy, John, Bailey, Angela, and Wesley all along with other cops, all like waiting there, hoping for an update. And like, I don't know. I love this family. I love them. I want more scenes like this, like just not at a hospital, because the one time that we get scenes like this, they're all at the hospital.
Yeah. I enjoyed how it's like
Mm.
the couples, or like should be couples in the case of Chenford, like everyone was like,
Yeah.
paired up with their like, people.
I also love, well, I mean, Wesley was there when it kind of happened.
Yeah.
But I also love how like Bailey came like to support John, and it was just the family. I love them. Um, yeah, really the only other scenes that I can think of that we've had like the entire group there has been when Angela and Wesley came home with baby Jack. And then the cupcake alligator scene a few
Yeah,
episodes
with the
ago.
drink that we never got.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
And they never like showed us looking, or they never showed them looking for the alligator. So I wonder if that's a
Whoa.
storyline to come like back up. I don't know. Probably
Whoa,
not.
could you imagine like alligator on the loose?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but you know, who knows?
What if like animals got loose from like the LA Zoo or something?
Okay, well that happened in 911 and I was just like, okay, this is weird.
Oh God, did it really? Oh dear.
Yeah, because it was
Oh
some like
dear.
power outage thing.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah.
Because it's like one
Like,
of the largest zoos, I think. Or is that
yeah.
like San Francisco? I don't know.
Well,
One
there
of
were
the zoos
like
in
giraffes
California.
like loose in
Oh my
downtown
God.
LA. And I was like,
Oh my
what
God.
is happening? I mean, even the characters were like, okay, this is weird.
That would just
They
be crazy.
Peter Krause's character and like another one got like cornered in by alpacas. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was wild. It was wild.
That's crazy.
So yeah. Um, but then Tim like briefs everyone, you know, they all jump into action. Wesley's gonna stay there, text, you know, Angela if there's any updates. And Angela and Lucy are gonna circle back with the ADA Del Monte and find out who else was set to testify. Kind of already covered that. Because it was an officer involved shooting, like Nolan has to stay there because he's Gray's union delegate. And Nolan's just like, you know, I know what I have to do procedurally, but I don't know what I'm gonna say to him. And then this is where Tim like comes in and you know, it's just like the awesome person that he is. And he's like, you know, he just reminds Nolan that Gray was with him after his shooting. So then you know, like Nolan should do what Gray did, is what Tim's saying. And you know, just be there for him. Like Gray's always been there for his team. Now it's time to return the favor. And Tim's like, I'm gonna try and track down and ID the deceased shooter and find out who she was partnered with. So that's kind of what everyone's up to. Gray's in the hospital, kind of zoning out, thinking about things when John comes in. And John's like, you know, have you talked to Luna yet? And we find out she's in Montreal. And he thought that this conversation should be one that he has in person. I don't blame him, but also I wouldn't want her to come back from vacation and see me like that, you know? Um, so then Nolan, you know, reminds him that a wise man once said that this is not something that you want your family to hear on the news. So Gray's like, I'll call her. And you know, she's gonna freak out once she knows that, you know, he's fine. But you know, he says that when he became a watch commander, he promised her and Dominique that they wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. But John reminds him that it was out of his control and Luna will understand. So then this is where we get like a heartfelt Gray and Nolan moment, which doesn't happen often, but when it does, it really like shows the soft side of Gray and shows like he's not just there to like give Nolan crap. Like he truly cares about like, you know, how he is as a person. So then the whole sequence, like I said, is just like so heartfelt. We can't do it justice, so we did pull the audio for it.
How do you do it? I mean, we're the same age.
Ish.
So how do you go out controlling the streets and chasing suspects, getting in the shootouts day in, day out?
Tyler Nolan, icy hot.
It wasn't like this before. I mean, last time I got shot, I pulled out my own IVs and checked myself out. Now I can't even imagine it.
Oh, maybe that's the difference. I was never that guy. I don't know what it's like to be a cop and not go home aching at the end of every shift.
So what you're saying is, I need to accept the fact that I'm old. I used to think about all the time coming up. How would I react to taking a life? And year by year went by, and I guess I thought I made it. I never have to go through this.
You didn't have a choice. She was going to kill you, and any of us would have done the same.
Right.
That doesn't help now, but it will later.
What will help now?
Nothing. This part's just hard.
And yeah, I just loved this moment. Like I said, we don't get many Gray and John heartfelt moments. And I like that they confide in each other and ask for advice. Like John did in season 1, and now Gray is like, I love the roast that Gray does with Nolan, but like the moments like these are what are special and what makes the rookie something special. Like even Gray had this with Jackson, like back in season 3, after the whole like Stan stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. So then, like later on or at the end of the episode, Tim's giving Gray an update on the hit list. And, it's just like another mob boss is on his way to life in prison. And Gray's like, there's going to be follow-up that you have to do. And, Tim's already on top of it. This man is like ready to be like fully in command as sergeant. Like sergeant era Bradford is happening. So yeah, so then he's like, I know all about the sergeant staff meeting on Mondays, the captain's meetings on Fridays, like I've got this. And Gray's, Tim's just like, you'll be back before you know it. And Tim just, he knows Gray really well, and it's like, I know that you have trouble letting go, but it's good because it'll be like a trial run for retirement. And Gray just looks at him like, all I could think about was the line, what you talk about, Willis? And I was like, that was his face right there. Right there.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I legit thought that Gray would be like, well, I am gonna retire or something. Like, I don't know, I just thought that it was like a setup for that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like it's happening. But then they're interrupted and Nolan comes in with dinner. And it's not a burger like Gray had ordered. It's grilled chicken with rice and veggies. And Gray had like alluded to this with Tim when it came to the retirement stuff about how he was like colluding with Luna. And then he like asks Nolan if he's doing that with Luna too, like colluding with her to get him to eat like healthier food.
Yeah.
And Gray just points out that a few months ago, Nolan was wanting to be an FTO. And, lately he hasn't been bringing it up. And Nolan's just like, I haven't changed my mind. I've just been working hard behind the scenes. Like Tim's been giving great advice. And I hope that my work as a union rep will help. And Gray's like, it will. And so we'll focusing on one area, whether it's robbery, narcotics, hostage negotiation, like whatever. But just become the department's foremost expert at it. And Gray just gives him the advice tidbit of like specialized knowledge jumps you to the front of the line. Like it was nice to hear this callback, but I was also like, wait, we're still going at it with the storyline. Like we just hadn't touched on it in a while that I kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like with Bailey coming in and like all the Fred stuff, like that storyline just kind of got like swept under the rug, and I, totally forgot about that. So it was nice to have that callback, but that's it for Gray.
Yep. So we kind of had some like other notes just on little moments that kind of happened throughout the episode that didn't quite fit within these storylines. Balin had some good moments. They actually started and ended the episode with Bailey and her painting, which was interesting. Because like I just thought it was clever how like we literally just see like John just sitting still after the title card comes up, and I'm like, why is he just like sitting there? Like I was just like, what is he thinking about? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But he's sitting still because Bailey is painting a portrait of him. And he's, for a person that's supposed to be sitting still, he's like talking a lot. So like I'm honestly surprised that like
He was able to like
her,
sit still.
yeah, or just that like her end result like didn't end up with like a giant like oval like where his mouth is or something, because he's just talking and like you're not, if it's like a still life or like a portrait, it's supposed to be still.
I mean,
But and
honestly, I would have drawn his mouth being open anyway. Like even if he wasn't talking.
yeah. Um and so he's, he's kind of like marveling about how, talented she is, and like she mastered, French cooking within a few days, and but she's like, no, I'm not a painter yet. I'm just taking a few classes. He wants to see like how it's going, and but she's like, no, 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 not till it's done. But he has to get going anyway, so they like table that for now. Um, the sneak peek that we saw had, Aaron mentioned the painting when he catches up with Lucy and John, and just wondering how Nolan dates so far out of his league. And I know people, I think it was on Twitter, that when Lucy was like, it's kind of his thing, like, we're wondering if like Aaron would like acknowledge that that meant that like Nolan and Lucy were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So it didn't really, I mean, it didn't really seem like he like picked up on it or anything, but I mean,
Yeah.
fans definitely caught the reference.
Well, someone did like create a gift set with like the 4 women that Nolan has been with, and they were like, well, Lucy's not wrong. It's so
Yep.
good.
Yep, it's true. And so the next kind of little moment that we got for them was Bailey mentioning that she didn't know about John's shooting on the job, like his first month into his rookie year, which was the 108 episode. And he just, tells her that he doesn't talk about it much. She can understand that. They both have jobs where like they've seen things and they've had to do things like this, like, Bailey with the Army Reserve. So I don't know, I guess I didn't catch that they had another hug, or like a first hug, I guess, in the hospital there. I thought it was
Oh.
just the one that they had at the end, because I had tweeted about the second one and forgot about the first one, because I did not look up. Like, I mean, I looked up sometimes, but then I was back on my phone. Like, live tweeting this episode was absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, even like when I was watching it, well, and I was tweeting on my personal account like last night too. I was like, there's just so much that I don't even know what to like tweet because I
Mhm.
don't know what I want to comment on, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so I had missed that first like hug that they had. Um and I thought it was nice that like Bailey was like, oh, well, do you want me to stay? Like, I can. He's like, no, it's okay, you go on to work. I have Wesley to keep me company. And I was like, I don't know
Wesley's
why it
look
made
to
me
John.
yeah, it just made me chuckle. Like, I don't know if we've gotten like like solely, well, aside from like 401 where they had
Yeah.
the like John came to Wesley's rescue kind of
Yeah.
thing. Aside from them getting beat up together, I don't think we've had a like scene of just Wesley and John.
We have it, and I totally clowned last night. I tweeted it. It was like, we're getting a Wesley and John scene, and then that was it. Like we only got John
Yeah.
sitting down. I was like, okay, I'm a
Well,
clown.
I wanted them to say something. I wanted it
I just
so
wanted
bad.
something.
Just because I'm like, oh God, I don't know. It was just too, it probably wasn't supposed to be that funny, but just when John was like, Wesley will be here, I was like, okay. Like,
And then Wesley's face, like as John comes to sit down, I was just like, oh my God, I love this.
yeah, like it was just interesting. Yeah, so anyway, but later in the episode, towards the end, for Balin, John's painting is revealed, and it's pretty bad. It's like distorted, misshapen, very, I think our good friend M on Twitter had put a side by side tweet of the police sketch in 201 when they're trying to catch the fake cops, and like John like or the original sketch artist like draws it out, and John's like,
Yeah.
that's me. It's like it literally is like John's face, but like
Yeah.
with the guy's features. She put a like side by side
Oh my gosh, I
tweet,
missed that.
and then Nolan's like painting that Bailey did. And even though it is so like distorted and off, John like he gives it a name. It's like it's John and jokes that he'll hang it up on the wall.
That was so cringy when he said that.
Yeah, I was just like,
And then how he was like running. I was like, no, the episode can end right now. Like, we're good. We don't need to see any more.
yeah, because Bailey was like, well, you could at least like pretend that it's okay, and he's like, oh no, yeah, I like it. And yeah, but she's just like, oh my gosh, no, like, but they're kind of laughing about it in the end, so it's assumed that maybe if we see John's house again, then maybe we'll see that lovely painting. I don't know. So that was kind of it for them. For like Smitty and Nolan, I had mentioned them earlier. I was so excited about Smitty and Nolan working together. I
Same.
can't really explain why. I kind of wish I could, but I can't. Like, it just, I mean, even like their reactions, like John's like default expression, as I like to call it, when he like looked back and acknowledged that it was going to be with Smitty. And then Smitty just raising his mug.
The mug from his election time.
Yeah.
No, I lost it when Nolan was like, oh, I could use a quiet morning. And Gray's like, you're with Smitty. And Nolan's just like, his face just went straight. And
yeah, it just completely changed.
And then Smitty's just like, cheers, dude.
Yeah, like he's so casual about it. And at the front desk, no less. I just thought that was very fitting, because I just remember
we need more scenes of them, please.
Was it? Oh gosh, let me think here for a second. I believe I want to say it was in Plainclothes Day. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm usually not when it comes to remembering these kind of things, though. Maybe I am. I don't know. But anyway,
you remember the rookie a lot better than I do. That's for
it's
sure.
Weird. Like, I just have this thing where I just remember things that no one really like cares about. But
I mean, I remember other shows, but for some reason,
in this case, I think it was Plainclothes, like the first Plainclothes Day, where John was like talking Talia's ear off about like where he wanted to go in his like police career.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, and I don't want to be working the front desk, no ma'am, like that's not for me or whatever. And then lo and behold, like here he is three seasons later at the front desk with Smitty.
Yeah.
So I just
funny
like,
how that all works out.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he was just covering for
right
person that was out. But it was just so funny, and I don't know if anyone else found it as
low
funny
key.
as
I was hoping that we would get some sort of line about John being the union rep and Smitty being like, "So how's that going?" You know.
Yeah,
but we didn't, so it's fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were just so different. Because like Smitty, who obviously doesn't want to do any of the work, like essentially is like dismissing this woman's stolen bicycle, and he's like, just take it as a sign, like, as if God wanted us to ride bikes, it would make the seats so uncomfortable. And she's just like, I feel like you're just trying to avoid writing a report. And he's like, yes, I am. Like, just his direct response.
You can always count on Smitty.
Yeah, exactly. And Nolan, of course, trying his best. He's like, you can get in my line and I'll, help you when I can. And like, obviously Nolan's line is way, way longer than Smitty's, because he is actually trying to help people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can see the people like that were in Smitty's line at first. Like they try to get help from Smitty, and then when Smitty doesn't help, they're like, "Screw it, we're gonna go into this line."
yep. Yeah, because later Nolan is like, it would have gone faster if I hadn't had to help most of the people. And just Smitty, of course, being like, it's quality, not quantity business. And John's like, you're failing spectacularly. Like, if that doesn't sum up Smitty, like failing, but doing it like in style, I don't really
Yeah.
know what does. Like,
Yeah.
it was too funny. And I hope we get more like Smitty because I didn't expect him. I mean, I know he was on like the like guest list or whatever, but like I just wasn't expecting the scenes that we got in the last like couple episodes with him, like where he just
Yeah.
kind of appears. So that was fun and I liked it. And yeah. Apparently I didn't actually mean to put Chenford last, but we're saving the best for last, maybe. Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are a few Chenford crumbs. I liked how Tim noticed that Lucy was kind of quiet. Because I feel like someone it might have been on Tumblr instead of Twitter. Someone had put like the like I think it was 309, like their last day like riding together.
Oh, okay.
And Tim was like, it's a job, not happy hour. Some other rookie's gonna be there like in that seat bugging me 24 hours a day or whatever. But obviously Tim notices when Lucy's not, like talking his ear off. And so she's kind of
Because low
quiet.
key he messes up.
Yeah, like, duh. This is what I don't like. I wish there were kind of more like, I don't know, like maybe a callback in like that way could be nice if we like get like Chenford callbacks as opposed to like, not that I don't mind the like plainclothes day callbacks or like the 108 ones in this episode, but like I want a Chenford callback or something at some point.
Yeah.
That would be nice. But yeah, so Lucy's like asking him if he thinks that she'd be a good lawyer because she wants to make change and a progressive DA would be able to do that. And he's like, no, but that's a compliment. And Lucy, oh my God, Lucy's like, Wesley's a lawyer and we like Wesley. And she just says it so cheerily. And Tim's like, we accept Wesley because we fear Wopez. Like, okay.
Which was, I didn't realize that until I'd seen someone's tweet or someone's like thought that they shared with us. And they were like, that was so accurate though, because of how Angela was in the episode. I was like, oh yeah. Like she kind of like backed the guy into the corner, like in the interrogation room.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like,
like,
oh, I never even thought about that.
whoa, clever.
Yeah.
Clever. Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
But also, like, I don't know about you, Tim, but I love Wesley Ever, so.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I mean, it is kind of a very like Tim-like thing to say. But just I wasn't expecting that. Like, I didn't really know where that conversation was gonna go, but I just wasn't expecting like Wesley to be brought up. I don't know why, but
Also, okay, Tim was kind of crabby last episode, kind of crabby this episode. What the heck is going on with this man? Like, I need to know why he's being like this with Lucy. She's not doing anything wrong, She's not like overly bothering him or anything. Like, don't be a grump with her.
I don't know. Of course, he was like, he couldn't really keep a straight face though, and he was like, no. There was like a little bit of a smirk.
Yeah.
And so thought that was good. I'm kind of surprised the whole Chris, calling Lucy his girlfriend didn't come up, but I don't know. I guess I kind of thought since Lucy talks a lot, and I mean that in a good way because I too talk a lot. I just thought that like she would have kind of been like
oversharing it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like oversharing, but like well, because when I was talking to Chris and we were having this conversation, and it's just like I don't know, somehow like slipped it in, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Chenford and like their relationships like separate, from each other will like come up in a conversation again in the future.
I mean,
I
it
don't
kind
know.
of did with like Tim and Ashley. Like he was asking Lucy about stuff with Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I didn't like I don't know. I understood what Tim's point was when he was like, well, we're not here to change things. We're here to catch criminals. Um but I can also understand how some people were bothered by it because that was another thing I saw on the like Twitter timeline was people were very like this felt like a step back for him or something to like say that because of like his progressive stance in season 3 with the whole Jackson thing like standing up for change instead of like being more passive, I guess.
Yeah.
Because then he was like, if you want to go change things, like become a billionaire and eradicate poverty in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Like this episode and last, he was just like, he's been blunt, like, and to the point, which is normal for him, but it's also like a little out of character in a way because it's like, why don't you even show your soft side? But then, like, he
I
did
was like,
with
there's
Gray.
an edge to it. Like, there's no like little bit of like softness that's like there, really.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
maybe
that's also probably just like character development too. Like, the
maybe,
character can't
yeah.
always be like that soft, like kind of, gentle, but also tough loving person, so.
Or I don't know, in my like, I don't know, like more fangirl creative side, I'm like, maybe this is leading up to where he's gonna like have this like big blow up fight with like Ashley or something, then they're gonna break up. I don't know. Highly doubt it. But I mean, because maybe I don't know, because I just feel like if someone's like, has like that edge to them or something, it's like there's something bugging them, or there's something that's like, under the surface and it just hasn't really been addressed yet. But
I mean, I did see someone tweet that they were like, I wonder if Tim and Ashley are having problems and that's why he's like this. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Did you want to take the couple of like smaller moments?
Yeah.
Because
So
I need a break.
So when they got out to like check on the second victim, they like were standing so close to each other that their hands almost touched a couple of times, like as they got the girl out of the car, which I mean, like Tim pulls her out and Lucy's like helping him just, make sure that it's like an effortless thing, which I would be okay being pulled out of a car by Tim Bradford. Like, sure. And Lucy Chen can be right there, like grabbing my feet or something, like whatever. I'd be fine with it. Yeah, and so then, like they tried to stop the bleeding to do CPR. Like Chenford does not know personal space, and it was evident in this episode because then, like later on in the episode, Tim was standing behind Lucy when she had the binoculars, and like then they were crouching down super close together by the fireplace, like to read the note, and I was just like, I know that they're trying to find the guy who did all of this, but like I'm just thinking of Chenford like creating their own fire in a fireplace one night, like yeah. I was like, I'm just running with ideas after all of this.
Cute. It kind of goes along with, they're a slow burn. There's the
Yeah.
literal
There you go.
interpretation.
There you go. Because the fire was like kind of out too, but it was also like, well, it could just be burning very slowly. It's fine.
There are a little bit of embers. There's our like,
There's our crumbs. The embers aren't our crumbs. Yeah. So
exactly.
that was it for the episode. I know like the first watch, like you didn't catch the fireplace, but I was also like, well, there was a lot going on. So
nope, I did not catch the binoculars. I did not catch the fireplace, but that was because I was literally like, when I say I was glued to my phone, like I looked up maybe like 5 times.
I didn't catch the binoculars at first either. And I saw someone tweeted about it and I was like, Binoculars. What?
Because like the next time I looked up, I saw their body cams like going back and forth or whatever. And so that's why I tweeted about that. And then I missed the binoculars. I missed the fireplace thing. Next time I looked up, they were back in the DA's office. So
I mean, I saw Tim like coming up behind Lucy, but I don't know. I guess I just didn't realize. I was so focused on him that I didn't realize she had binoculars. Someone else, maybe it was for the last episode. It might have been for the last episode. Someone had pointed out their height difference. And I was like, yes, everything about a height difference.
yeah,
I love it.
I just thought of like a parallel though when they had that like, I don't know what it's called. It's like a singular, like, it's like a single binocular, like the one lens like thing from Lucy's plainclothes day, and Tim's like behind her and she's like looking through the thing. There's a parallel if someone wants to gift that.
And wasn't that when she was like watching him as he was undercover or something? She had like one of those.
Oh, that was like, I mean, she had binoculars when she was watching his like date with Rachel or whatever. He had
and when he was undercover this season, and she was like miking him up in the truck.
Oh yeah. Or it might have been through a camera. No, well, maybe it was like a telephoto lens.
She was using a camera. Yeah. But then I thought she was also using binoculars too. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I want if someone can like gift that, like they're like that, and it's from plainclothes day too. So there you go. Yeah. It's like unintentional parallel, just because I mean, like it's just so great, like tall and small, and they're just great. I just love them. So yeah.
So yeah, now we have some listener thoughts, and you guys had a lot to say, but like, I mean, I don't know. I also saw stuff just like roaming on Twitter too, so we can kind of go through it. There's like a 50-50 split on Chris Chen, and like honestly, I'm not, like I said, I've got thoughts about it, but I don't know. Should we get into that first or do the listener thoughts?
Oh, probably. Just because I feel like it's a hot topic.
Yeah. So okay. So like I don't hate Chris Chen, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, I love them. Like they're not gonna be endgame. We know that.
No.
But like after this episode, I was like, okay, Chris definitely seems more smitten with her than she does with him. And I saw other people say this too, that he definitely, like, she's a little hesitant on it. And maybe he's more of a long-term person and she's not yet or something. Like, I don't know. But then I was also like, it was weird that we didn't like get a hug after she had like told them that they could come out from the closet. Like, I would have thought he would have at least hugged her or something, but maybe he didn't feel comfortable because she was like on the job. Yeah. But even then, like after she went in to his office, I was like, there's nothing like going on here. Like, it was just kind of weird. So I don't know.
Well, maybe I don't know, because like Del Monte was there too, and technically isn't he Chris's boss? So it's like maybe he just didn't.
Well, and then like Tim was there too. Like I could see Lucy just feeling like, no. But then like even after, like when she had went back to his office, like I don't know, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm waiting for some kind of contact. But then I was also like, you guys have only been on 4 dates. So it, I mean, if it feels awkward, it feels awkward. But I don't know, they're cute. Like I'm here for it until we get Chenford. Like Chenford is a very slow burn. But like, I'm not mad about Christian. And I also saw someone say that like he could be like her Rachel, like how Rachel was with him, as far as like making her realize that she needs like someone who is steady and like committed and all that. I don't know. I do feel like Chris is more like smitten with her than she might be with him.
I didn't ever think of it, but
especially because she was like, you're my work in progress. Like, you don't really say that to someone after they've called you their girlfriend?
At least not out loud.
Not out loud. I mean, I don't know, maybe she felt like awkward. Like I was thinking of like Ross and Emily and Friends when she said I love you and he was or when he said I love you and she was like, thank you. Like, maybe she was just like caught off guard. But I was also like, I don't it's better to say nothing than to say that, I feel like.
Yeah, I literally just watched that happen. I've been rewatching 90210 for the second time, and like a character said like I love you, and the girl was like, thank you. And he got mad and she was like, well, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Like, am I obligated to say something? So
Right.
maybe she is feeling like, oh, like I don't know if I'm like ready to put this label on it yet. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
know
It's
you were
just
hesitant about them before.
Oh yeah, no, I was so hesitant. I think I actually replied to someone on Twitter who was like in the camp of like, I can't really get over the fact that like he was such a jerk in the beginning. And I was
Mhm.
like, it took me a while to get over it too. And I'm still not, I mean, because we haven't gotten an apology, like a direct, like, I'm sorry for what I said, like when I said it type of thing.
Yeah.
And so, and just especially just because Lucy is so passionate about like psychology and about just like the mental health of like people and just, I don't know, like, I hope Chris does read those articles and like actually is like actually caring about
Yeah.
these things that she's like trying to educate him on. Because
Yeah.
I feel like if that doesn't really work, then that's like kind of a big thing that she's like so passionate about. It's like, I don't know. And then just like the I mean, I like that, like, I don't know, there are like moments where I'm like, I don't know if this can work, but then they kind of pull me back in with their cute
Mhm.
little, you know,
Banter.
smiles, yeah, and banter and just um cute moments. So yeah, like you had said, I'm not mad at it. I'm here for it for now.
Yeah.
Not here for it for long term
I,
because Chenford's endgame.
well,
So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like we all know that. Like, I mean, no. I
yeah.
don't I don't think it would happen. I also saw someone say that they would rather see Chris and Lucy than like Tim and Ashley, which that
Mhm.
I kind of see. And it would be different for me, like if we had seen Lucy have boyfriends before and we hadn't seen Tim have girlfriends before. Like we've seen Tim have girlfriends and we've seen how he like plays it out. I want to see Lucy have a boyfriend now and see how she is in a relationship. And then
Yeah.
I can like bring Chenford together, like in my mind, and be like, oh yeah, Lucy would bring this, Tim would bring this.
Mhm.
Um, I saw someone on Twitter say they were like,
Sorry.
you say that Chris is, mean to Lucy and or not like mean, just got off on the wrong foot and stuff. But you're saying it like Tim wasn't the exact same way in season 1 and sometimes still is, just like gruff and like it just doesn't really have a
That's
filter.
true. Yeah, that's
And
true.
yeah. And so
'Cause
then, she was just like, some people, like, sometimes you just get off on a bad foot. But yeah, because it was in response to someone saying, sorry, but Lucy deserves more than a man who has been condescending and downright rude to her about how she does her job. It was dropped in again this episode when she mentioned it in passing. And now he's got her questioning the job she loves. Like, is this what we really want for her? Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I
Tim was
mean,
already questioning her in the pilot and was like, like, why did you change what I said to these people or whatever? He was
right.
already like on her case from the very beginning.
But like it was also like her first day too. So I don't
Yeah.
know like if that had something to do with it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do still love how like Lucy shut Chris down when he did that at first. It was like, go, sis, like go off.
Yeah. I don't know. I need more, like, I need a follow up to the whole, if Chris is kind of gonna, use anything that Lucy's kind of taught him about, you know, mental health or like take into consideration his sentencing like practices or I don't know, or them like doing, are they gonna have a solo date? Like, are we gonna see, like, why didn't we see any of the other three, if the double date counts as one of their dates? Why didn't we see
Yeah.
any of the other three that they went on?
Yeah, like we definitely haven't seen anything yet to like build up to them, but it could also just be because that's how like storylines have went. So I don't know. It's interesting. Do you want to kick it off with Ricardo's thoughts?
Sure. So Ricarda said Sergeant Bradford in charge is hot, and him in plainclothes is gorgeous too. Yeah. He had so many good looks. So many.
Yes.
It was so great. Doesn't want to see Gray like retiring in the near future. Yeah, I don't want that either. No retirement for Gray. Not right now anyway.
No.
Sad about the lack of Chenford. Yeah. And then finally they didn't forget that Nolan wanted to become a TO. Yeah. That was good that they brought that back around.
I wonder if they'll like bring it back up or if that's going to be a season 5 storyline.
Hopefully.
I don't know.
I'm hoping that like they get renewed for season 5, and then
I hope so.
because there's so many things and just so many, just the possibilities that they're like that are coming up like now
Yeah.
for what paths characters will take, kind of lends itself to a 5th season, I hope.
Yeah. And then Mindy had said after that episode, I really wanted to give Gray and Aaron hugs. It was nice to see Gray and Nolan bonding, even if the circumstances were unfortunate. It seems like they always bond when the circumstances are unfortunate. I mean, I guess they did when they were writing together, and then like Henry and Dominique were there in the district, but yeah. I don't know. I want to see more of Gray and Nolan like bonding when it's not like someone's just went through something like really traumatic,
I just like didn't even think about that. My mind is like blown right now. I'm like, oh my god, that's so true though. Like none of their experiences have been positive.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, not at least not when you get like the heartfelt like talks and everything. Like, I mean, you have Gray like roasting the shit out of Nolan, but like, but like you don't get like the heartfelt like even when they were in the shop when Dominique and Henry were like at the district, like you got Nolan and Gray talking, yeah. So
which was ironically when he was like, let this be our only heart-to-heart moment.
Yeah.
And yet they've gone to have a few more. So
also in the hospital scene in this episode, Gray was like, we're the same age. And Nolan's like, okay, now I really want to know like how old they both are, like canon wise, but
well, we know that Nolan's 46. So
when the show started, right? Or is he 46 now?
Yeah, we just heard that last episode. Randy,
that's right.
Randy had said he's 46. I think he was probably 45 when the show started.
Yeah.
I think 40 something anyways. I think how they like played it out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though. I would assume that Gray is like, I'm just thinking like 48, 49.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then she also said that Luna's presence was felt even though she wasn't there. And she has this feeling that she uses everyone to keep an eye on Gray. Oh, yeah, like Luna. Yeah, because of the whole Nolan bringing in dinner and, Tim being like, oh, this is great practice for retirement. Mindy also said, poor Aaron, I really felt for him in this episode as his days started to go downhill. He was trying so hard to change things around. And next week's going to be even worse for him. For sure. She also said after Tim's comment about Wesley and then Angela in the interrogation room, the fear is real. And Jack will know that by the time he's a teenager. I also loved how there's a lot going on and Wesley's just there talking about egg rolls and playing with Jack.
Please. The one time I tweet something and the rookie account retweets it from our Shop Talk account, it was about Wesley and the fucking egg rolls. I mean, I appreciate it. I do. But I was just like, it wasn't even that clever. I literally just said Wesley and the egg rolls.
But like honestly, that's when it happens. And it's like, that's not even a clever tweet. Like, why are you
Yeah. But like I totally paused the television though, like when Wesley is over by the like baby carrier or whatever, just to see if they would even, but no, it's just covers, like
oh
blankets top of whatever,
yeah.
you know,
I
prop
just
they
loved
have
how
in the
like
baby carrier.
Wesley was there with baby Jack and they like walk up to Angela's desk and she's like totally focused on work and Wesley's like, I'm just hanging out here for the day, like I got nothing else, I brought egg rolls,
Yep.
like no, nothing about Chinese, just egg rolls, like that's it.
So, Valerie had said the cold open was good. Yeah, that was
It was
definitely
good.
entertaining.
I like had a full-on conversation with the guy who was the
Like the actor in
star
that
of the
scene.
cold open, yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, it's so
He said
funny.
that it was very cold that day when they filmed it. And I was like, oh man, well, we appreciate your commitment.
That's
And
fantastic.
he was like, anything for art. And I was like, oh my God, I love that.
That's fantastic. Oh man. I don't know what cold in Los Angeles is though. Is that like
Californians are like, it's so cold and it's like 50 degrees. I'm like,
yeah,
that's
it's
not
like is that
cold.
50? Is that cold?
In the
I don't
Midwest,
know.
that's summer.
Yeah, or close to it anyway. Um yeah, so the cold open was good. Tim's line about tolerating Wesley was the best of the night. Yeah, that was good. Liked how everything tied together and the gray moments with Tim and John were great. Um, oh, it looks like a retirement setup. Oh yeah, you had mentioned that they might kind of be alluding to that. Yeah, possibly. Um, Good to see the writers poking fun of Bailey's perfection. They know what they did. Oh yeah, they kind of like set it up like where like she can do, like nothing like wrong
Yeah.
essentially, and there's one thing she can't do is paint apparently. So it was just so funny. Like, oh, that painting was just it was not accurate and yet oddly it worked for Nolan. Like
Yeah.
honestly. So yeah, that was what Valerie had to say on that.
Yeah. So then Bonnie had said, great. It was the first time that he took a life and Thorson. She felt so bad for Thorson. And he tried to fix it, but looks like next week he's basically going to be accused all over again, plus his mom and the film crew. And then Bonnie had asked what are our thoughts on Chris and Lucy. It's been timeline mayhem since last night. And she said, personally, I think they're a good stop while we wait for Chenford Endgame. She said she would rather see them than Tim and Ashley. She said, do you think Tim and Ashley have broken up? That would explain Tim's moodiness if so.
Oh. Um well see I don't know because like I have not seen anything else from Helena Matson at all, like on social media or anything that would like
Yeah.
indicate that she's filming more like for the rookie. So I don't maybe they're just saving it for like later or something like
Yeah.
Ashley, pops up again. Because I don't think they've broken up yet.
I mean, even just like a mention of her would be good, I feel like
Yeah.
just to kind of let us know, like, oh yeah, that's still a thing.
I feel like if anyone were to break up first, unfortunately, I think it would be Tim and Ashley because I don't mind
Yeah.
them. I really don't. I mean, I need to see more of them because the whole, like Ashley not liking Kojo thing, that was like where I mean, aside from the double date, I guess. But even that didn't really go that well. It went better for Chris and Lucy than it did for Tim and Ashley. So,
Yeah. I
like
mean,
all
I
these
thought,
storylines, they haven't really ended well for Tim and Ashley. So I feel bad for them.
I thought after the double date they were gonna break up, but
Yeah.
that's also just me. So
Oh well, I thought both couples were heading for breakups and or like, you know, in Chris and Lucy's case, like not going to go out again.
Yeah. As far as like stance on Chris and Lucy and like Tim and Ashley, like I mean, again, I know that they're not in the game, so I'm not really worried about it. But like, ship who you want. You know, you want to ship Chris and Lucy, you want to ship Tim and Ashley, like, by all means, go for it. Like, that's part of the fun of it. It's a fictional TV show, so you know, fictional characters. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Lydia, love this episode. Oh, maybe because she expected less Chenford and more action and drama. Yeah, I really wasn't expecting like Chenford either.
I wasn't
As
really expecting a lot of like Bailey and Nolan. I wasn't really expecting them. Wopez, Chenford, like I just figured it would be the two like big storylines.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was really like it was cool and like dynamic and just it was action packed. And stuff. Lydia also said Gray's storyline was really good. And she said she appreciates them taking the time to flesh out the fallout from him killing the woman. Also, how Nolan could give back to Gray when he helped him in season 1. Yeah, I had to I think I mentioned this before we started recording, like watch the scene with like closed captions on Hulu so I could actually fully like comprehend what Gray was saying to Nolan. And it took me back to, I think it was 108 when Jackson's dad had come in and was talking to Captain Anderson and was like, Nolan was the first person under her command to like take a life, meaning that like Gray hadn't taken a life either. And I didn't really realize that because I was like, oh wow, like he's been on the job for so long. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was good that they like kind of showed it happening like in real time of like Gray having to deal with the fact that he killed someone.
Yeah.
Lydia also liked everyone working on this case as a team, with a few lovely Chenford shots where they don't have personal space. It was great. Yeah. It was great. Chenford does not know personal space, and we love that for them. So yeah.
Yeah, and then Janine had said, thank God that Gray's okay. But you know, she thinks that he's thinking about his future more and more. And she was a little disappointed to not see Luna, but thoroughly impressed with the growing friendship of Nolan and Gray. And then she said she would love to see Gray move up to like captain or lieutenant and Tim as watch commander. And
that would be cool.
It would be. At least we would still get to keep Gray.
Yeah.
You know?
Because like Anderson was at the station when she was captain.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And
Can
like
we
it
have
shows
that
like
happen?
yeah, and it like shows what Tim could do, you know,
Yeah.
after so long. So and then she said she even thinks that Gray was impressed with how Tim took control. I think he was. I think it definitely showed Gray like Tim can do this. Like, you know, it's not like he just is fine with commanding a room. Like he can take charge.
Yeah.
So she also said, well, it was nice seeing Lucy and Chris. It doesn't seem like they're dating. There's not even a hug. And she said she knows that Emily from Twitter said that it could be COVID, and that they're being careful. But like another show had a slight like they had a very sexy scene. Okay, like yeah. And I saw the gift today again, and I was just like, yeah, like how did they do that? But you know, she was like, I know the rookie isn't completely like that with the steamy scenes, but you know, there was at least like hugs or kisses. Yeah, I don't know. I also wonder if it's something that like the characters like or the actors are comfortable with. I mean, I'm sure that it is. So it could just be that. She also said that she almost spit out her drink when Chris called her his girlfriend. And she goes, "Oh, and you're just my work in progress." Like the one-liners like that just make it seem like they're not dating. Yeah. Like it definitely feels like I don't want to say that it would be like a one-sided relationship because she's not selfish like that, but it kind of would be in the sense that like she doesn't love him as much as he does love her, you know? And so
I'm also
then
kind of thinking that like if they were to get to that stage where like the L word comes up, like Chris would totally say it
yeah,
first.
yeah. Um and then she also said now when Lucy is questioning Tim about if she would make a good lawyer and he says outright like no, that's we tolerate Wesley because we're afraid of Lopez, like that was another one-liner that she loved. Um And Janine said, Chenford just gravitates towards each other. And Eric says that it's completely just because they improvise their scenes. And now she's questioning when we see them like slightly touch or move closer, if that's in the script or not. So is it their way to show us and let us know that they're still Team Chenford? She said in her head she would like to believe so. I must have missed if he said that because I don't know if he did.
Gosh, I can't really think about. I mean, I know that like he says that sometimes they kind of like just since they have so much fun like filming together that they'll just kind of do like what feels right with like a
Yeah,
scene, because like how Eric did the whole what was it 314 like look up and down
yeah.
of Lucy, and that was just how he read the scene. So like maybe it's kind of that of like it's just how they
Like they put in their own
interpret it.
little pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few of a few of my other favorite actors do that for another show. Like they've just said, the writers just kind of keep stringing along their characters. So it's like we just have to find ways to like put in, some moments that show that like we actually still care for each other. So maybe it's that. I don't
I
know.
mean, if we just go on Twitter though, if you just go on Twitter and you see anything that Eric and Melissa like or interact with, it's usually Chenford related. So I'm pretty sure they're still on board.
Yeah,
Still on board the ship.
yeah, for sure. So, Janine also said, she misses the flirting from season 3 and the beginning of 4. Same, same. Sometimes it's there, but like in the last 2 episodes, not really. And so she said she was a little shocked when she saw when they were on their way to save Chris and the other DA that Tim didn't ask if she was okay. In a way, that's the man she's seen possibly being targeted, and she would have thought that Tim would pick up on like her worrying, like when she did when Tamara was in danger. Um, maybe he did, but he just wasn't sure like how to bring it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that they've talked about it and like, he knows that they haven't like really defined the relationship yet.
Yeah. I
And
don't
he
know. It's just
confided
like
in her
it's
about
like little
Ashley.
missing pieces that like they could fill in, hopefully, or like mention at some point that like they've talked
Right.
more about each other's relationships to each other.
I mean, I would think that she would talk to him about Chris. Like he did talk to her about Ashley. So they definitely feel comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
And then Janine said she was also a little upset when they found Chris because Lucy seems like a very touchy feely person and she expected like a hug at least. But that end scene with Lucy and Chris was cute. Just expected more. Same. I expect like I was sitting there and I was like, okay, are you gonna like hug or something? Like, I don't know. It didn't feel like complete to me.
Yeah. Or just like I don't know, like some people like put like their hand like on someone's cheek or something, like something
Yeah.
like that. Like I don't know. But maybe it's just like I said, maybe like all of these little things that were like, how do I put this accurately? Like the things that we are not seeing are like almost as important as the things that we do see on screen as far
Yeah.
as like maybe what they're trying to tell us with Chenford or, lack thereof. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
just feel like it's all coming like boiling up to something. Hopefully it's a good something. I don't know.
Do you want to take the next few bullets of Janine's?
So Erin's plainclothes day. She thought that Harper would have been harsher, but she really came through. Yeah, that's true. Although, like, I think it was honestly just like Nyla's like facial expression. I can't speak. It's been a long night. Expressions showed her kind of like frustration with like how the day was going.
Yeah.
Especially with that camera crew, my gosh. But she's glad that Harper had Erin's back. Just like Tim had Lucy's in her plainclothes day. And it's crazy how it's going to like how everything's going to happen again, like with Erin, you know, like being accused of something. And she feels bad for Erin. She's already coming up with whodunit scenarios for next week's episode. Doesn't know how Aaron will cope with a false accusation. He seemed to beat himself up a lot for it, like in last night's episode, just with everything that like brought up, I'm assuming with like the whole Patrick scenario. Janine doesn't like seeing Aaron be like sad. Yeah. He like, not that I need an emotional scene from Aaron, but like I feel like it would just like really like bring out True's like skills of like having like an emotional like scene or something.
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
like that. Maybe it will be his breaking point next week. I don't know. But Nolan, Janine could just imagine the comedy relief if he was partnered on the streets with Smitty. Same.
I also wonder how like they kept a straight face when they were doing the Nolan and Smitty scenes, because I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, I would not have been able to either. This is probably why neither of us are going into the acting business anytime
Probably
soon.
Not. Also, I would just like hyperfixate on things, so I would literally get nothing done.
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely I do want more Nolan and Smitty scenes. Like I had mentioned earlier, it was so like I was so excited about seeing them paired up for that one scene that like I wouldn't really know what to do if they were actually like riding in a patrol car together.
Yeah.
But Wopez in this episode, she's an amazing detective and Janine loves her no nonsense kick-ass attitude. Her and Lucy teaming up is something that she would like to see like more of. Yeah, that was so good that Tim was like, and Lucy's gonna go with Angela. Like,
Yeah.
yes, that was so good. I loved that.
Also, part of me was like, okay, he wants her to be like safe, so he's gonna put her with Angela, and doesn't want her to like get into danger. I mean, being a cop, like she will get into danger, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like when he said that, it was like, oh, he's watching out for her. Like he wants her to go and be with his work bestie. Like,
Yeah, like two best girls in Tim's life. So good. So good. Oh, and yeah, Janine's like, sorry, Baelish, maybe kick ass at many things, but painting is not one of them. That portrait was hysterical. Yeah, it was quite funny. Again, I just want to know if it's gonna be seen in like, the background of another episode.
Or like the next or like another episode, like John brings it up and he's like, Bailey, I really just like love this painting. And she's like, can we not talk about it?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Something exactly like that. And the effects of last night's episode were amazing, especially at the DA's office. Robert directed a fabulous episode. Yes, he did. Robert Bella did a fantastic job.
It was his like first episode directing too. That's what he said.
So hats off to him, because now he added that to his, like writer, producer. Now he's a director on the Rookie.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
It was really good. And like just from the cold open to the final scene, like it just left you like on the edge of your seat for sure.
Yeah. Considering there were two scenes that like I literally could not tear my eyes away from the screen. Like I did not look at my phone for a solid like 10 minutes. So
Like, it was just, there was never a dull moment. It was a
Yeah.
great episode.
it was engaging, dynamic,
Mm.
just all around lovely episode.
Yes. And with that, we have finished the recap of 415. Oh my gosh. If you have made it this far, you deserve like a gold star or something. Like, I don't know.
We will give you a gold trophy that Lucy cut out and made a few
Yes.
episodes ago. There you go.
Yes.
You get one of those.
But if you guys want to keep the conversation going or anything, like, you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. We can be found individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And if you guys want to rep some rookie merch or anything, we've got a TeePublic store. But that's it for us, and we'll be back next week with 416. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Go get 'em, boo.